And blessed to be a part of your day on this beautiful Monday. A little wet in the Treasure Valley, but why not? Sure beats snow. Kevin Miller in the morning on KIDO Talk Radio, where we love to give you the news and hear what you have to say about it. Joining us now, our great friend, retired U.S. Attorney Chuck Ambrose joins us with the very latest on FBI Gate and whatever happened to the FBI. Chuck, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin.
You know, as someone who has worked at the highest levels of government, what was it like during these government shutdowns for the government workers?
Oh, it's a little more tense than usual because you just don't know when you're going to get paid again. And although, none of us were starving, we were still, like most Americans, working paycheck to paycheck. So it put some strain on things.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. And for those of us that those are words, but for many people, those are the actions they have to live with, the consequences of folks in Congress and the administration not getting it done. And, we were talking about it, and a lot of folks on talk radio and such go, well, it's blah, blah, blah. What's the big deal? Well, if it's your paycheck that you have to wait 2 or 3 weeks for, it can be a big deal.
It can. Everybody within the U.S. Attorney's offices that was working the criminal side was deemed essential, so you still had to show up for work. If you were on the civil side, the side of the office that worked with collecting debts and defending the government against lawsuits and that sort of thing, then they had the additional onus of being called non-essential. So they got told to stay home. They got an involuntary vacation. We're not even allowed to come in.
Amazing.
And, they also had to wait on their paychecks.
Well, hopefully they'll get this done, but I did want to get your perspective on that as we start the day with, I don't know which day of the government shutdown. But, Chuck, Sean Hannity has done such a great job of keeping us informed every afternoon here on KIDO Talk Radio when we're talking about this whole FBI thing. Now we have word that possibly the Department of Justice, the House committee will get some of these files. If you were preparing this case, can you put this together for us simply so that we can get it as opposed to, the souffle? Can you give us the ham and eggs version of it?
I'll try to. There are actually two sides of it at this point. We've had much more come to light lately about the cover-up side dealing with Hillary. There is a recent indictment in Maryland of one of her associates in this Uranium One scandal, charged with 11 counts of various things, including money laundering, but it all has to do with the 20% of the country's uranium that she was willing to ship to the Soviet Union, Russia, in return for a grand total in excess of $140 million that she and her husband got in the Clinton Foundation. It turns out that there are 4 others who were under investigation prior to the election. And it's important to remember that this investigation started when Bob Mueller was in charge of the FBI. Rod Rosenstein was the U.S. attorney in Maryland. And you have several of the other swamp critters involved in the Trump frame-up in this process also, such as McCabe and Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. All of these prosecutions were either delayed or just buried so that they did not see the light of day. And then the same cast of characters ends up, trying to investigate, and that's use of the word in the loosest terms. It's really a frame-up. It's nothing less than a criminal frame-up where they contract to buy this dossier or create it and then use it to wiretap Trump in his own home in the Trump Towers, and then create this false narrative based on the false dossier of collusion. And then here we are, a year later with a special counsel who's come up with nothing other than a couple of people lying to the FBI. And again, that is a fallback charge that a prosecutor relies on when he cannot get to the root of the problem he was charged to investigate. To me, it was always an embarrassment, and quite honestly, I never used the statute. If I was investigating Martha Stewart like our buddy Mr. Comey did for insider trading, if I had to fall back on a Section 1001 charge, lying to the FBI, what that meant was I couldn't prove what I was trying to prove, so I'll have to use this. It really is mind-boggling, and I want to make sure that the people out there know that there is a difference, thank God, between what we call the boots and the suits. The FBI agents and most of the federal prosecutors working cases at the ground level are some of the most honorable people I have ever met. These political hacks that were put in charge of these departments are a completely different story, and I do hope that the House memo is released and that everyone can see exactly how bad of a problem we're facing with this group.
Our great friend Chuck Ambrose joining us, retired U.S. Attorney Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. We'll get to Chuck's other work and how he's doing on Amazon with his works of fiction. But now, you're a fiction writer now, Chuck, and you have been for quite some time. Could you ever have come up with a scenario where you have two folks associated with this investigation texting each other about how much they hate the candidate Trump, and then you have the same folks that are responsible for editing the statement from James Comey, and I guess they were posting on Facebook as well. That's coming out between these two that were having the affair.
No, I couldn't, and I'll tell you something that's been kind of a catharsis for me, because while I was with the department, at least prior to the Holder Lynch DOJ, if somebody had asked me how I felt about the whole FISA statute, I would have told them, well, I think we need it in its present form without amendment, because you can trust the people that are administering the program, and our biggest problem is the terrorists who are trying to kill us. So let's leave it as is. Having seen these abuses, which I literally could not imagine anybody in this country pulling off, I have to agree with Senator Paul that we need some significant revision to them to safeguard the American citizens that have been targeted instead of the foreign agents that were the real goal of the statute. Let me do this. Let me outline the normal procedure in a wiretap, either criminal or FISA, that a working agent and assistant U.S. attorney go through before presenting it to a court. The agent, rather than paying a foreign spy to trump up something, no pun intended, beats the bushes and gets as many facts as he can. He writes an affidavit. He brings that to the federal prosecutor, because you have to have both going to the judge to get a warrant for a wiretap or an authorization. That attorney is required to then do what we call a Woods review or a Woods file. And what that means is he can't just take the agent's word for it. And what I'm talking about here is normal departmental procedure with safeguards built in. You have to tell that agent to provide you a source document, either a report from the FBI agent himself, or from other sources. Maybe he's relying in part on a police department, and there are police reports that need to be available also. And you're supposed to, as the supervising attorney, go through and literally verify every line in that affidavit before you take the step of presenting it to a federal judge. And here, that process has been corrupted to degrees that I could not have imagined before seeing this mess play out. It is such an onerous process to go through for the attorneys and the agents that most of the time you don't want to do it. And that's may sound unusual to people who've seen movies and folks getting an affidavit in 5 minutes, but this is normally a process that takes months. And it's extremely work heavy, not only in the process of getting the authorization, but then once you get the authorization, you have to provide updates to the court. Some of these wiretaps can generate thousands of conversations. Those have to be summarized to the court, and the judge authorizing it has to be kept up to date as to whether, one, it's necessary, and two, it's doing what it was supposed to do. So the corruption of this process to the degree that it apparently occurred is just mind-boggling.
Chuck Ambrose joining us. Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Again, I go over this Lisa Page and these other folks carrying on and having affairs.
Did you hear the latest about that? The Bureau apparently lost, or at least that's what they're saying. They have been unable to come up with 5 months of the emails between those two. Even with that, the latest is that some of their emails that were released show that they knew that Mrs. Clinton was not going to be charged even before the Comey presser, and that that information had already been provided to Mrs. Clinton.
Well, certainly not how usually that we're taught the FBI runs.
No.
Chuck Ambrose joining us once again. Chuck, where do you think this goes?
Well, if somebody, working for Jeff Sessions, and hopefully it's not him, because I'm quite frankly very disappointed with the lack of candor that the department has shown under his leadership. I can't believe that in a Republican administration with Republican committees trying to investigate this, that he has allowed Justice Department and FBI to stonewall and to try not to release the records revealing this to Congress in their oversight capacity. But let's assume that they finally get what they need. This needs to go to a second special prosecutor. And if whoever that is has any sense at all, he will not bring these grand juries in D.C. if he has the option not to. Under federal law, a conspiracy can be prosecuted and tried in any district in which an overt act and furtherance of that conspiracy occurred. My choice here, given the fact that I think most of the investigation on one end of it has occurred in Arkansas, where the Clinton Foundation is headquartered, that would be my choice of venue. The voter pool in Washington, D.C. is about 96% Democrat. I have seen, citizens there do the right thing when you're talking about street crime, because it's their neighborhoods that are getting affected. But I remember literally following the presentation to the grand jury of the Marion Barry case, where they had videotape, and it was tooth and nails to get an indictment in that case with video proof, because he was a Democrat and their mayor. There were fistfights going on in that grand jury while they were considering that indictment. In that town, the Democrat is not only presumed innocent, he is innocent, and you're never going to convict him. And the opposite, unfortunately, is true of a Republican. They're presumed guilty until proven innocent, and even then, you're still probably going to get a conviction. If you'll remember the O.J. Simpson case, that case was lost before it was ever tried because Gil Garcetti, the district attorney, made the moronic decision for purely political reasons to move it out of Brentwood, the district where the crime occurred, and try it, I think, in East or South L.A., just to play to a voter base.
Chuck Ambrose. Chuck, if people want to get a hold of you, how are you doing on Amazon, by the way?
Well, last month we had the pleasure and honor of actually making it to the very top, the number one slot in Mystery Series sales rankings in the Kindle store. And Amazon has a second revenue stream for authors who participate in their Kindle store and their Kindle Unlimited subscription program, and they track the number of pages people are reading for you. And we went over 1 million last month. So it's doing amazingly well, and it's humbling and very surprising.
Well, you might be catching Grisham after all.
Oh, I doubt that. If I do, then you may have trouble getting me up at 6 o'clock in the morning. But,
that happens all the time to us, Chuck.
Oh, sure.
It does. Say, remember when? Anyway, Chuck Ambrose, once again, if people want to read your works of fiction based on facts, what can they do?
Go to Amazon and just go to the Kindle store or the book store and look for the pen name Mark, M-A-R-C, Rainer, R-A-I-N-E-R.
I was going to say, well, Mark, thank you. But, Chuck, thank you very much. Take care. Thanks for joining us so early.
No problem, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, coming up next, it is official. We will have our State of the Union party. I'll give you the details on that. And at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, the government shut down. Do you miss it? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Hey. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here at KIDO Talk Radio. And once again, we are the open funnel for all folks running for office or interested in bettering the Treasure Valley, which brings us to the results of our non-scientific KIDO Talk Radio poll. By the way, it's funny, Representative Malik on Twitter gave us a little snarky endorsement, the ultra-scientific Kevin Miller poll. And really these polls, whether it's us or Idaho Politics Weekly, you know, they're fun to be a part of. They're fun for the constituents. They're fun for the supporters to get behind. So after over 20,000 votes on the KIDO Talk Radio site, that's right, the home of the KIDO Talk Radio app, we have a winner right now, Michael Snyder. That's right, with 61% of the votes, followed by Russ Fulcher, followed by Representative Malik, followed by Nick Henderson, I think. Yes. Then David Leroy, then Christy Perry. But apparently Mr. Snyder has garnered his national group. I don't even know if 20,000 people will vote in the primary. But congratulations to Michael Snyder, followed by former Senator Russ Fulcher, and Representative Luke Malik. That is our top three. And we'll continue to provide coverage of the 1st Congressional District race. Who will succeed Congressman Raul Labrador? We appreciate everyone who participated in this. And, you know, it's funny. We've got the Super Bowl coming up in 2 weeks, and everybody's fired up about that. But, you know, if you had to pick something to talk about, would it be the Super Bowl or would it be the shutdown? More on that in a minute. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:26. Time. All right, there we go. We've got that taken care of. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:27. So we've got the Super Bowl coming up, Philadelphia versus New England, and we'll have a lot of people talking about that. But really, what about the government shutdown?
Thank you for calling the White House. Unfortunately, we cannot answer your call today because congressional Democrats are holding government funding, including funding for our troops and other national security priorities, hostage to an unrelated immigration debate.
What's that? I don't know if that was Kellyanne Conway that had that message, but gotta love the White House. So the government shut down, and, you know, we're going to have the faux outrage and everything else. My thoughts go out to the people that work for the government, the people in the military and law enforcement that do a tremendous job, the civil servants that serve their country. And they don't do it for the good benefits. They do it because of patriotism. And I think that is lost sometimes when we open up and bash government workers. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I can't officially say, and I've had several people email me concerning our State of the Union party. It will be a week from tomorrow at Dave & Buster's. Now, I'm working diligently to either get you a phone number to RSVP, because that's only fair to Dave & Buster's, so that we can plan. But right now, people are emailing me and such, and hold off. It is official. We will get the band back together again. It will be not Saturday night, Tuesday night. We will watch the State of the Union together. The State of the Union will be at 7 o'clock our time, but we'll be there from 6 to 9. So what we will do, as we always have, and our never, ever continuing efforts to serve the Treasure Valley. We'll have a little pregame show. We'll definitely have a postgame show. We'll probably jump on the air and talk a little bit about it, get your thoughts on Donald Trump's year in review from Donald Trump's perspective. And we do want to thank our friends at Dave & Buster's for believing in us and, of course, hosting this and being our partner in this. We hope to see many people, and bring your appetite when you go to Dave & Buster's. Great food, affordable prices, and we're going to have a fun time Tuesday night. Can't wait to see you all at Dave & Buster's for our State of the Union party, our watch party. I will give you more information once I have it. I am pestering the management of our facility to get with their facility so we can be good to go. But again, we will have that for you. It is official. We will be there Tuesday night from 6 to 9. I hope to see you there. Coming up next, back to the government. I love this message.
Thank you for calling the White House. Unfortunately, we cannot answer your call today because congressional Democrats are holding government funding, including funding for our troops and other national security priorities, hostage to an unrelated immigration debate.
Guys, is this any way to run a government? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning. The government shutdown continues. Some people are upset about it, but do you really miss the government?
He said, I want a wall. And as despicable as it is, as hurtful as it is, to people like me and others in this country, we are ready to sacrifice that so that dreamers can have freedom in this country.
There you have it, Representative Luis Gutierrez. My apologies for that one. Saying they're ready to concede on the wall. Look, it shouldn't have anything to do with the wall. This government shutdown is unnecessary. And this happened during the Obama administrations, as Ray Omaya pointed out to me on Friday. This is standard operating procedure. We don't pass anything. We pass a continuing resolution, and we all shake our hands, and we all start ringing and thinking, why can't we run things like the Philadelphia Eagles or the Seattle Seahawks? You notice the NFL, well, they don't really have shutdowns, maybe once every 8 years, right, when they have a labor dispute.
This shutdown was a political miscalculation of gargantuan proportions. But it doesn't need to go on any longer.
Thank you, Foghorn Leghorn, or Mitch McConnell. But at 580-5436, 580-KID, with all due respect to folks that are working for the government, and when you work for the government, you get some pretty good benefits. Is anybody else missing the government? And people that are on Social Security and other things, right?
We will see this procedural vote, we think, in the Senate later on today, and this is an effort by Republicans to break this Democratic filibuster. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says that has to happen first. But if that vote fails, at least part of the federal government will remain shut down, and Democrats are holding their ground and holding out for a deal on DACA, those protections for illegal immigrants who came to the country as children.
Deal on DACA. We go to Cindy from Caldwell with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning and welcome to Monday, Cindy.
Well, good morning, Kevin. I'm just going to say to you, Viva America. And I actually try to reason with several people in a local church about the government and its hand in, I would say, what would be the word, coming alongside continually and illegal immigrants. And I'm not at all surprised about the government shutdown, nor the departments that the president has said. I find it really interesting because you had a gentleman, Michael Snyder, on. I'm really not too familiar with him, but on his pamphlet, it said the question should be not but how many government, agencies to shut down, but how many to leave open. So no problem with having them close the EPA. Seriously, the Department of Education, when you think where this country has gone from having these agencies, I can't find, in the Constitution. So, I live from paycheck to paycheck. Seriously, if they would tell me they would deal with this Medicaid deal, they already took the money out of Social Security. I can live without that. And I'm sure your financial person would like to know a few times because he would not agree with the way that I went over to student loan places. And I'm going to be just like, I'm the real deal. That's why I love Ronnie. Ronnie is the real deal. With whatever he said, I found him hysterical Friday. So
now, Cindy, we don't need to really encourage Ronnie or his ilk. He has enough encouragement on his own.
Well, that's okay. He just comes out and says, I find him totally enjoyable. Matter of fact, where my mind went when he's talking about bikinis, I won't even go there with what I used to wear. But anyway, the bottom line is you can make it through.
Now, wait a minute. What did you used to wear?
A bikini, of course. And you know what? I think at one time why
don't you, Cindy,
what?
with all due respect to KIDO Talk Radio, wearing a bikini, why do people wear the bikinis? Why not leave something to the imagination?
You know what? Because I didn't. Because I probably because I thought I was like Bo Derek, coming down the beach like in Valero. Because people can be sinful, and I was, and I'm just real deal like Ronnie. I thought it was hysterical what he said. I never went jumping around on a trampoline, but he has some comic relief, but he's just him. Compared to these politicians and the stuff that comes out of their mouth, Nancy Pelosi and all the other ones, when you put him on the air, I just wait to see what is this man going to say next, because he's just Ronnie, and I appreciate that. I appreciate Mr. Snyder just being the real deal about this government.
Mr. Snyder's leading in the polls, Cindy. Anything else?
No, I'm just hoping you have a good day, and I'm rather sick of the whole thing that this immigration bill and a certain church body that constantly, comes alongside. It's not immigration. They'll figure the whole thing out. But, yes, there's one thing. I appreciated the author that you just had on.
Oh, Chuck Ambrose, yes.
Yes, and, support our libraries, too. Not necessarily, and I'd like to have his numbers go up, but people are reading books. I've ordered several of them in the libraries, like Caldwell. They Got Me Sheep No More by Jonathan Gilliam. I can't afford to buy the books, but I think you should let these authors know we're supporting them. They're not counting the numbers. People still go to libraries and read books.
And there's some great deals. Cindy, I got to run, but thank you.
Have a great day. Viva America.
All right, and Cindy's down with Ronnie and revealed that she used to wear bikinis back in the day. Very good. Let's go to Liberal Steve on whether or not you missed the government. It is shut down. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Miller, and good morning, Idaho.
No worries. Cindy. No worries on whether or not you wore bikinis back in the day.
Hey, I tell you, let's, don't switch the topic now. We're talking about government shutdown here. The Republicans have they have really blown it. So bad. 2020 is just going to be a walk-in, just a walk-in. And Trump didn't even show up on Sunday. He's busy talking to his constituents, his crowd. And then his girlfriend Stormy was at the airport down there in South Carolina, that strip club. I can't think of the name of it. She was dancing all weekend. And
what does that have to do with the government shutdown, actually?
Well, that's where they all went. They got nothing else to do. I heard half the government was down there watching it with their great Make America Great hat on. Is it true that we got a female running for governor in Idaho?
It is true.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear you say anything about that this morning.
Well, because we were talking about our congressional debate, or our congressional poll, where Michael Snyder won. Yeah.
Mark Rayner, come on. When you asked him the question, could you write a novel like that, as crazy as what's going on? And he said, I don't think so. What kind of writer is that? A sixth grader could come up with.
Is this review and commentary on the guest? So, do you have a point here?
My point is the Republicans have blown it, as they always blow it. And this government shutdown, they should drain the whole swamp. Shut it all down for about 3 months. Let Kim Jong get his act together over there. That's all I got to say, Miller.
It's pretty weak, but thank you.
No, it's not weak. Republicans.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller in the morning.
Thank you for calling the White House. Unfortunately, we cannot answer your call today because congressional Democrats are holding government funding, including funding for our troops and other national security priorities, hostage to an unrelated immigration debate.
By the way, I do want to remind you our State of the Union party will be a week from tomorrow at Dave & Buster's from 6 to 9. I'll give you the details on how you can RSVP as soon as I know. And speaking of great events, coming up this weekend, it is the Canyon County Kids Fair. That's right, the Kids Expo. That is January 27th, the 6th annual. If you want to see the Paw Patrol, going to be a great time there. That it's at the Ford Idaho Center. Coming up this week, we'll give you tickets, your chance to win free tickets from 10 to 6 here at KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up next, Meridian is the place to be, but with that growth comes some challenges. We'll tell you about that. Plus, the Women's March, the Women March on Boise. Are we ever going to have a men's march? No. Can you be pro men and not be anti women? Hold that thought for a minute. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And blessed to be a part of your day. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:50. Kevin Miller in the morning. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, we'll hang out with our friend Dave Petzo. We'll talk a little bit more about the government shutdown and what that impact has on news for your money, whether it's the stocks, whether it's the 401ks and alike. That'll be in less than 20 minutes. Also, don't forget our State of the Union party, which will be a week from tomorrow at Dave & Buster's from 6 to 9. I'll give you the details when I get them on how to RSVP for that. And the Canyon County Kids Expo, that is this Saturday as well. By the way, Meridian, Idaho, in the news once again. It's the best place to live, most livable, according to Money Magazine. You might have seen this, but just looking over this, this is the challenge that the folks in Meridian and those areas around Meridian, whether it's Kuna, whether it's Star, whether it's Nampa, whether it's even Boise, have a challenge with. Meridian, Idaho's population increased by 24.6% over the last 5 years. Now, that's faster in all but a handful of other U.S. cities and many times faster than the U.S. population growth of 3.7% over the same period. Now, again, this is in Meridian. You're talking about a 25% growth in the last 5 years. It's amazing. The city's strong economy does not likely hurt its appeal. For example, total employment in Meridian climbed 8.7% from 2014 through 2016, more than double the comparable job rate growth nationwide. As of 2016, only 3.3% of Meridian's workforce were out of a job compared to 3.8% statewide and 4.9% nationwide compared to unemployment rates across the board. Rapid job growth and low unemployment are often characteristics of a relatively safe places, and Meridian is no exception. The city's violent crime rate is of 109 incidents per 100,000 people, is less than one-third the statewide rate and less than a third of the U.S. violent crime rate. So big ups to Meridian. Having to deal with all that growth, though, 25%. No wonder they continue to look to build more and more roads. If you were out yesterday hanging out or like Kay Millie watching the Sunday shows and the games, you missed this.
I'm here because I'm a feminist. I'm a proud feminist, and there's so many things wrong with this world today, like the equal rights.
This event, largely organized by high school students.
This is all about the work that they've done, and I'm so impressed with the work they did.
Today, we are making our voices heard again, because for as far as we have come, we still have so far to go.
Sharing messages of equality.
All people are people, no matter their color, no matter their age, no matter their gender. People are people.
Through speeches from activists.
Say that with me. Nothing will make us stay home.
And
you know, it's funny. I still don't believe that this is organized by high school kids. I think they did this last year, and they actually missed school. Now, it's great that we're talking about equality and everything else, but how many conservative women were there or women of life were there? And the idea that you have somebody getting cheers for saying nothing will make us stay home. I think that if you ask most women, most honest women, that if they would rather go to the workplace, drink stale coffee, deal with a bunch of jabronis and slappies, all in the name of making a buck, or be at home. I think it's not even just for women. I think anybody, if they had a choice of staying home and raising a family or having some type of career, then in the end, what does it really get you? I would hope and pray that most people would pick the family. I just find it odd that they look at staying at home as some type of lesser life. And we've done that through the media, where we've taught that the homemakers are less important than the people that are out there wearing the polyester and hustling. Now, if you have to do it, so be it. I get it. Some people are working 2 or 3 jobs to support their family and their lifestyle and having a better life for their kids. But on the other hand, you can't beat someone who is at home making sure that the meals are cooked, that the family is taken care of. Oh, sure, it gets done, but not to the extent. It's just ironic that we have people cheering for people, and we're not going to stay home. Okay, we get it.
Visual arts and music. A diverse crowd, women, men, adults, and children, different races and different cultures.
It feels great to have this many people invested in what our society looks like.
Because every single voice has a place in our society. Because every single person has a place in our society.
Unique to the Idaho rally, organizers created this book full of photos from last year's march.
It's designed to be a yearbook where you can sign things and write notes and have memories of what are all the things that you've done and how things have changed for you in the last year.
All the money raised from the sales of those books and extra money that's donated will be given to the Women's and Children's Alliance.
Well, that's a great cause, and we want to thank our friends at Channel 7 for that. Certainly we support the Women and Children's Alliance, but at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, in your own life, in your own workplace life, are really things that bad? And besides getting some earned media, what does this march really accomplish? Not taking shots, but really just asking the question. Our time is 6:56, traffic and weather together. And Kevin Miller here at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, getting back to this Women's March. And, of course, the question that every person is asking, if there can be a women's march, why don't we have a man's march? And did anybody talk about conservative values or Christian values when we're talking about equality? When it comes to equality in the media, when it comes to equality in the workplace, what about the Christians? What about the conservatives? What about the people of faith? We're so quick to, jump on board and knock people down and say things are wrong. But what about the good things going on in life? What about the positives that are happening? People talk about the Me Too movement. The fact that we have Harvey Weinstein, a liberal progressive Democrat, finally being held accountable for his things, for his discretions, for what he did. Brought down by another liberal progressive Democrat, Ronan Farrell. I think this is progress. Think about where we were 20 years ago, where we had liberal progressive Bill Clinton doing what he did in the White House with someone who was young enough to be his daughter and essentially getting away with it. And you had liberal progressive women and men defending Bill Clinton. And it's so funny because even today you have liberal progressives and those from California know this name, Bill Press, who we went toe-to-toe with on national television many, many times, saying that he still thinks what Bill Clinton did was not impeachable. Right? Well, then Harvey Weinstein should still have a job, right? Quickly to Pat in Boise with the last 30 seconds of the program. Good morning, Pat.
Hi, good morning, Kevin. I just want to say one thing, and I think I'm just really nervous about what's going on with the FISA and changing the way that citizens or non-citizens get to vote. I just want to make sure all of our systems, IT systems, are backed up in the FBI everywhere.
Great point, Pat. KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.